I speak from here. Hi everyone, welcome to this hopefully super interactive session. So we're going to keep the presentation to about 20-ish or so minutes, but then beyond that we are going to get you to do stuff. So I'm Atish Gonsalves, I'm the founder of Gamoteca, and I am here with Sofia.
Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Sofia Exarchou. I'm here from the United Nations System Staff College. We're based in Turin, and I'm super happy to be here after it's the second year I'm in Moodle and this time presenting, so very happy to be here with you all.
And we also send apologies from Fausto, who last minute had to cancel because he got very unwell. So Fausto, from also our partner, the International Training Center of the ILO, also neighbors of the Staff College in Torino, Italy, couldn't join, but we'll still share some case study from the International Training Center's eCampus, their Moodle site as well. Before we even get started with anything, we wanted to get some ideas from you. So the theme here is human connection, so we'd love for you to take out your phones. You will be taking out your phones quite a bit, so take out your phones and scan this Menti poll and let us know, what does human connection in digital learning mean for you? Okay, so we're getting some interesting inputs on what does human connection mean. The biggest word which is coming up here, which is going to be a big theme for us, is interaction. Sofia, any other key words you see coming up here?
Well, I see, of course, flexibility and collaboration, everyone can see that as well, and interactive, together with interaction. Empathy is a word that I particularly like, and it may be also one of the things we are going to explore today. Very nice inputs, I have to say. Very interesting.
A lot of the themes coming up here around asynchronicity, around emotional connection, around being participative. So all of these are themes that we are going to touch on in the case study. So thank you so much for contributing. Maybe we can post this on Twitter after such a lovely collage of all these inputs. But this is really the core of learning, right? Like, learning is such a human endeavor, and so this is really core to what we do. Okay. So thank you for your contribution on that, and again, welcome from us. So as I said, we'll keep the presentation relatively short, and we want you to do stuff today. So we'll share some case studies. Sofia will be sharing from the UN, and then we will also, after that, have you trying out one of these experiences and hopefully connecting with a new person in the room today, and forming some new human connection around learning as well. And we'll keep plenty of time for questions and ideas as well from your side. So thanks for sharing as well about what human connection meant to you. So these are some examples. It's not some abstract concept of we hold hands and it's human connection, but these are some very practical examples for us of what human connection in learning means. So this project for me, like with Gamoteca, started as a research project with the UN around simulations and role play. So what you broadly call serious games. And as an example on the right, you see this is a simulation for training drivers and fleet managers in humanitarian organizations. And what's happening here is, this is a dashboard that the trainer sees. The learners are making decisions, but they're explaining why they made those decisions. So sometimes in e-learning, we are losing that nuance of why did you make this decision. So it's interactive, it's human to human, it's asynchronous, but they're sharing a little video explaining why they're doing this. And they're making these decisions under stress. So this is kind of a serious game because it's been a time-bound thing for 1 hour, and in that 1 hour, they have to go through the simulation. Another example, and this is another one which really inspires me, from a digital inclusion day on the campus that Sofia works, was on combining knowledge, skills, practice, collaboration, and feedback. And this experience you see is on learning sign language. So you will not become proficient in sign language, but you learn the basics of finger spelling and some basic expressions. And the point of this experience is you see these videos, but you do. You do, and you share with another learner, and at the end of this experience, you can introduce yourself, finger spell your name in sign. So this was designed originally by UNICEF as an American sign language game. We've redesigned it for British Sign Language, but if you want to do it for other sign languages, please feel free to adapt it as well. And finally, an example of human connection here is also on coaching and mentoring. So we work with the Norwegian Refugee Council in Jordan, and they are using this for coaching and helping refugees reconnect into the workforce, and using the platform as a coaching and mentoring platform. So these are very practical examples of what we mean by human connection. And this sort of goes back to our ethos with Gamoteca as well, is our approach is very much human. So it's all about learning in teams, giving people the opportunity to practice. We know this. We know that you can't learn to drive a car by reading about driving a car. You read a book maybe about the road rules, but beyond that you need to drive, you need to make mistakes in a safe space, get feedback, and course correct. And so that's such an important part of learning, and we're trying to bring that into the digital space. And then for creators like Sofia, we want to also then make it easy that these kind of experiences should not be difficult to create, it shouldn't be expensive to create, it should be fast to create. So we're also trying to make the process of creating these kind of experiences easy and fast as well. So Gamoteca is two things. There's a platform, so think of it as a authoring tool to create these experiences, which are very human, which are very collaborative. And then there is an app for individuals to learn and practice alongside others. So I asked some of you to download. There's instructions there on the thing, so you'll get to use it. There's also a browser version, but there's a very short video which tries to explain what it is. Okay, so in terms of how it works, very briefly, there is, I mentioned, an authoring tool to create these learning designs, these templates, and we have a number of templates that you can build off. Then you can publish those, and this you'll see later how we publish these experiences through Moodle. So as instance sessions are things like learners that you today will try, you'll be able to join yourselves and invite another buddy or wait for someone else to join. Or you can run custom sessions where you can basically, in a cohort, think of it as an instructor-led session where we share a code, you join with this code, and then we can choose as trainers exact formations of teams, etc., that you can learn together with. And these learning experiences can then be asynchronous, so that can happen over a week or a month, or in the example I gave earlier, it could be like 1 hour of a gaming experience. So it depends on the use cases, but it can happen, the point is that it can happen asynchronously as well. And then as trainers, then you can see like a live feed. I think you saw in a couple of the screenshots of what the learners are doing in real time, and you can pull analytics as well. And I'll show you then again how you can download the plugin from the Moodle site, and you can integrate it into the course creator as an activity as well. So that's kind of generally the workflow. These are just some screenshots of the creation platform. It's we've tried to keep it super simple. The publishing, as I mentioned, is focused a lot on being able to create these kind of bespoke group learnings or scalable instance sessions. And again, you will get to try these out. And then for the learners, the experiences, we've tried to make it as mobile first, as mobile friendly as possible, but you will try and you will let us know what you think. And finally, this is the live feed that you can see everyone learning through. So that's the Gamoteca presentation to the side. And then on the LMS side, if you're interested, you can find it on the plugins on Moodle. I'll do a very maybe quick demo after Sofia talks about the case study as well. I can show you how this works within a Moodle course, how you can just add it in as an activity. But we've done this now with a number of clients. Essentially, it adds it as an activity, and then it uses a web service to send asynchronous completion back. So you could launch the activity directly from the Moodle course, either on Moodle Mobile or on the web browser. You could finish the learning experience, let's say a week later, but then it sends a completion through the web service, through LTI, so it can happen like a week later as well. I will skip this and I'll come back to this later. So in terms of partners, we've been working mainly in the non-profit space, but we're now starting to also have private sector and academia partners as well. We've been working with organizations like UNICEF, who are reaching 100,000 learners. The Kaya team, which was Save the Children, and again, a lot of these are through the Catalyst partnership, who originally helped build out the plugin as well. And small organizations like Fleet Forum, who train humanitarian organizations as well. So a lot of our work happens in this sort of this non-profit space, but it is starting to be used by other sort of for-profit companies as well. So I'll hand over to Sofia to talk a little bit about your case study.
Thank you very much. So on the case study, I'm just going to speak mostly with my design, developer, hat on. So I attended once a workshop with Atish when he had come back to the Turin campus of the United Nations. And one of my colleagues, Juliana, who is not here today, we were together in the session. And then we were like, oh, we have so many ideas on what we could do with this, how we could connect people after COVID, because both of us, we were working from home. So we were very, very excited. So we decided to create some sort of a two-player onboarding game. Because we were having more and more people joining our Leadership and Management Knowledge Center of UNSSC from remote. And we were thinking, okay, how can we help them connect with us faster and in a more playful manner than actually onboarding them the casual UN, let's say, kind of boring way. So we started to pilot a game using Gamoteca. So what was the goal with this game? And this is screenshots from the player. Actually, this is my supervisor. He's also here in the room. And one of our newly joined colleagues. And the goal behind this was, first of all, to fill in the gap of the missing connection. The colleague that designed the game with me, Juliana, she joined in the beginning from home. So she spent a good 4 months without coming into real contact with us. And so that was kind of how we started thinking, how could we connect each other better? The second way was to try to replicate with the game the way we work. So we tried to create a game that is very iterative. We provide feedback to each other all the time. We send to each other tasks. We have different roles, kind of resembling the supervisor role. So we were trying to kind of foster the culture of the team in the game. And then the third reason was to show that we can also be proactive. So the app actually sends you some notifications of when, for example, the other player has done certain things in the process. So we were using this as a way for the other team member to get initiative and to respond on their own. So this is how it started. And this is how it ended up. I mean, we're still piloting it because we said we would pilot it for a year, depending on how many new people we have joining the team. So we started with finding a very kind of interesting theme that does not have so much to do with work. And me and her, we were very passionate about the space concept. And we thought that since we want to connect people and it's all about the space, let's make it space-like. So we created a narrative that was welcoming people to the KCLM, which is our team space program. These are actually screenshots from the app. We were assigning people roles. We have the mission specialist and the spacecraft commander. So while where you're going in the game, maybe you're doing things that actually have to do with your job, but you're still in a role-playing mode. And then, of course, we were assigning people tasks. We were asking people to connect through video and leave each other feedback. These are exactly the first screenshots of the game. Who you are, assigning to you a role. There's also a screen of saying who we are, the mission control center where we send you missions. So we were quite engaged with the whole onboarding process when we were developing this. The goal by the end of the game is, of course, learning to fly or learning to work in our team. And these are actually the last slides of the game, where you kind of, whether you're ready or not, you complete the mission, and then you're just part of the team, and you've gone through all the onboarding steps. And why did we use this approach? At the end, we understood it was a way to reinforce the human-to-human connection, and that was also a part of learning together. So even though our colleagues were far away, we were trying to show that in an asynchronous manner, because we were not connected all the time during like the working hours, we're still like depending, let's say, on each other, or we're still a team. Then, of course, we were trying to encourage communication across different channels, because this is the reality of today. Like, we don't have one app, one Microsoft 365 that does everything. That we have like so many different apps and products we use, and so many different services that we take advantage of, and it's part of the way we work, especially in our office. So we wanted to encourage like people using more software that is relevant to our work, and just getting inspiration and new ideas. Then we also wanted to encourage openness and conversation and feedback, and this is actually something that the app does very well. You provide your input, and then you have options to receive your feedback, and you will see that later on while you will be playing the game we have designed for you today. And then lastly, it's kind of a more motivating way to reinforce interactions with others, and also like by giving a different, let's say, concept to the whole game. It kind of makes you think that it's not all about work. It's also about having some fun, and yeah, the fun part basically. And that was our part from UNSSC. Well, we have also our colleagues from ITCLO next door that had an interesting case. Fausto is not with us here today, but Atish, he can cover for that part. Over to you.
So, thanks, Sofia. And yeah, the International Training Center of the International Labour Organization is the training institute for the International Labour Organization, also based in Torino. And they do a lot of training outside of labor law and labor rights, etc., as well on the quality of work. They also do training on innovation and training, etc., as well. So this is the team similar to Ugo and Sofia's team. They're also focusing on innovation and future of learning as well. So they've done this integration. So I'll show this to you right after these slides now. So they've integrated as well with their eCampus Moodle platform. They did it with a single sign-on. Since then, we've removed the requirement for single sign-on. You can actually just launch it like a SCORM as well, and it still manages to track back the activities as well. So yeah, you'll see, as you can see at the bottom right here, you see it as an activity, which you can then just add into the course as you do it with a quiz or an assessment. But in terms of why they were doing this, so ITCLO has been one of the earliest adopters of Gamoteca. They've been using it for, I think, now close to 6 or 7 years. This is one of the examples on using it as an elevator pitch. So they have a longer learning program on developing, I think, job market skills, and so you create sort of this pitch, and so you see a video first from an expert on what an ideal initial introduction looks like. You do that initial storytelling or message. You send it to each other. You give each other feedback. And then you sort of go on to the next step, and then you connect the different things, and at the end you bring it all together as a complete elevator pitch. And so they started this initially with 30 participants. Now it's like grown to a much larger group, and it was actually nominated for a Learning Technologies Award, I think, last year as well. So this is one of the examples. The other a very interesting example was with teachers in El Salvador. And this has been an ongoing program with the largest training institute in El Salvador called INSAFOR. And so again, a lot of these projects, interestingly, started off again during the pandemic, but have grown much more beyond that as well. So this one was focusing on creating innovation practices between teachers, and they were essentially mentoring and coaching each other. So they had 3 levels in this game. So by the way, when we're saying game, we're using it for shorthand for a human-connected learning experience, which is also gamified. So that's when we talk about game, that's what we mean. So it's not like a video game, but it's a peer-to-peer learning experience with some gamification principles. And so they were using it to learn about the future of learning, about using design thinking when they're designing their training programs, and also about virtual reality. Like they were just being introduced to the concepts of VR, and then they were co-creating what their ideas look like in there. So I'll get out of the presentation and show you some of these things in real life now. So let me show you, for example, the ITC ILO. First, I'll show you some of the games that they were designing. So this is the elevator pitch game, and I'll show you maybe the sessions which are running. So sessions are what's the live session that is running with the participants. And I'll show you maybe one of the ones which is running with about 30 participants. And so you can see they're in teams of 2 each, and you can see that they are contributing to each other, they're sharing, giving each other feedback. So there's both a closed feedback, so they exchange videos, they give each other, was it compelling or not, and they give each other open feedback as well. So it's like, you're getting from the feedback, firstly, it's coming from another human being. It's not coming from a machine. Secondly, then you're getting closed and open types of feedback as well. And there could be also potentially a facilitator role here, so an expert who could also be providing you feedback. And then I'll show you what it looks like. So this is their Moodle platform. And so they've integrated, so I'll show you first what how it looks like for adding an activity. So yeah, so if you add an activity, it just appears there like one of the other activities here. So, and then you can just add it in there, and you can just link it in directly from there. But I'll show you in terms of how they blended this into other programs. So this is the program that they had for the trainers in El Salvador, and so they were just using this as one of the activities in the course. So it had different modules, and the module, I think it was on innovation. So it was part of the innovation experience, and then they had integrated it in there as one of the activities, I think, down here. So this is just to show you it's not difficult to integrate with Moodle, and the Moodle plugin is, as I mentioned, it is available also on the plugin space as well. Before we go, I think we're doing well with time. Yep. Just before we go into the activity, I just did very quickly skip through this slide. So this is just to say where we're going with Gamoteca as well, and especially with Martin's presentation on AI. I think, so what is the role of AI then when we are talking about human-to-human learning, and how do humans and AI learn together as well? So for us, the value add for AI in a tool like this is very much around supporting the learning experience. So for example, think about as a creator, you're creating a learning experience, and we were brainstorming last night as we were building the activity for you. Think of an icebreaker that you are going to do today, and so the platform can propose an activity for you as a creator, and that activity is then used between humans. So that could be done by the creator level, but it could be also done in real time. So it could be like you are learning and you introduce yourself, and then there's a ChatGPT integration, which then shows you a specific activity which is tailored to what you just mentioned. So for example, you shared a profile of yourself, and then it tailors a specific icebreaker just for you. Obviously, there are really interesting applications. We work a lot in the UN and in international context, so translation and localization there's a lot of possibility as well for just being able to take the entire experience. But what is super exciting is it's not just about content. So Gamoteca is not about content, it's about experiences, right? So it's about how people are learning together with each other. So you could actually have Sofia and me maybe not speaking the same language, but we could be sending human-to-human interaction, so like a video or a photo or something, and then you could be using LLM type of AI to do translation of that content, the user-generated content that goes between the two of us. So we're really sort of building bridges, in a sense, using learning, even between people who don't speak the same language as well. So beyond the AI stuff, which everyone's very excited about at the moment, we've been focusing a lot on localization. So the app and platform is available in English, French, Spanish, and Arabic now. But if there are more languages you'd like to add, just let us know. We're more than happy to add a language pack in. And then we have this vision also of a skills marketplace. So skills marketplace where it's not about the content again, but it's about, imagine an ecosystem of where you are picking up sales skills, for example, in a company, And the experience will be very different. You can do the same experience on Gamoteca, but have a very different outcome if you do it with a different person. So ideally, if you're a sales newbie in the company, you want to be learning together with someone who has more sales experience. So how do you incentivize the learners? But importantly, how do you incentivize the mentors as well to provide their time? So there could be some sort of gamification as well around this. But eventually that the company sees as growth of not just acquisition of knowledge, but demonstration of competencies and skills as well. So that's kind of where we want to really go with this on the long term. And there are a few other pieces as well there. So thank you for listening. So those were that was, I promised you the presentation would be quite short. So for the next step, I think I mentioned to some of you already to try to download the Gamoteca app. For whatever reason, if you can't do it on your phone, then you can also do it on the browser. I think the experience is nicer on the mobile phone. You can just create an account with Apple, Google, or email. If you do email, you do need to verify it. And then you will get to an Explore Games place. So I'll show you then here where you should arrive at. So just let me know, just stick your hands up when you reach this point on your app or browser. Should we take questions now? In the meantime, also if there's questions while you're installing the app, and yeah, just please do yell out if you have any questions.
There was like some hands there.
I think there was a hand raised there, yeah? No? Okay, perfect. Oh, you're there. Oh, yes. Okay, great. Let me bring up the instructions again here just so that everyone can see it. So try and maybe get to this point to click to the Explore Games and reach that point where you have to, you see a list of games.
There's a question.
Yeah, just thank you. I just have a very quick question. Whether the plugin works also with Workplace, Moodle Workplace?
It's a very good question. We are sort of exploring what's the process for that as well. But yeah.
For the moment, it doesn't.
At the moment, it doesn't, no.
Okay.
And if I may add, because we are using Moodle Workplace, so we are implementing it via links. So it is not, we're not so much concentrated on tracking the progress, so the part of the plugin that it does, but we concentrate more on the experience as an add-on to other learning initiatives. So you can still use it by, with links or joining with code that you will see today. Yeah.
So you can still launch the experience. What you lose there is the LTI tracking back into Moodle. But yeah, we are exploring what's the best way to do it. Great.
Should I give a background on the game?
Yep.
So as you're downloading the app and slowly as you're going to the Exploring Games session, it's like a light blue button at the top of the app and also like in your screen if you're joining via the computer. There's going to be a game that we have designed for you today just for the MoodleMoot, and it's called Moodle Time Travelers. So we will encourage you to log into this game and the pairing will start to take place, if I'm not mistaken, right? The pairing will start to take place, so you will be choosing a role and...
Let me do a demo. So you'll have
I can show you exactly how to do it.
You'll have an option. So when you create your account, then click on the Explore Games here. So this is our GDPR accepting that what you're sharing we have access to, so we're very clear about that. And then, sorry, there's another Explore Games option here. It's the Moodle Time Travelers one here. So these are just like a sample, some demo experiences, and this is what we created. I should say you created.
No, it was a collective experience.
And then
Several minds.
And then from here, so you'll have two options. Okay, so random player, we are a big enough room here. You will be able to choose one of the roles, but it'll encourage you to join a role which others have already joined. So think of it like a video game. So I'll show you here. It'll say, join this one because 3 people are waiting. So select that one. So if I select this, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to waste the role. So it'll connect me with the Delta learners. The other option is if you've come with a friend or colleague and you just want to play with them, you don't want to meet new people here, you can then do invite player mode. So here you join, you start, and then you will share with your colleague or friend family member the code, and they will then use, instead of explore games, they will use the join code option that you share with them. So there's two options. I would encourage you to meet someone new. This is all about networking here. So go here, click play game, and do random or invite player, and start to connect with each other. And then we'll give you 15 minutes.
Yeah. So in this game, you will be going through different tasks. We really, really, really encourage you to play the game, because it's all about also creating some brainstorming together about the future of Moodle. So since we're all here, and it's been like 21 years with Moodle, let's just start to brainstorm on how we can make it better. So it's all about that, the game. And it has some tasks. You will be going through the tasks together with your partner. It may take 10 minutes, but it also may take 20. So, and since it's quite interactive, maybe you will need to stand up, go someplace, record a video. You may need to come back, write on a piece of paper. So you have the next 15 minutes, let's say, to play the game with your game partner and try to achieve all the tasks that are being asked for you while you will be time traveling.
One suggestion I make, because you may be like random connecting with someone in the room, so it's kind of like speed dating in a sense almost. So maybe just so you recognize a person, maybe go to your profile and add your photo, so your partner knows who you are. So maybe you can meet them after the game in real life as well, and continue this conversation out of this room too. So just before you join the game, maybe just go to your profile and just add a photo if you can. Otherwise, you may not end up meeting this person who's in this room in person, which will be sad.
Should we be going around perhaps in...
Yeah. Cool. So let's take about 15-ish, 20 minutes maximum, and then we'll come back in the end for questions as well. Questions which are already going. So this is me as a trainer. I can see this live dashboard of Level and Anne, for example, I've connected and already learning. So it's creating these real-time sessions between the different learners here. If you are playing with a partner, please don't make them wait as well, because you will see that it says waiting for partners, so do respond relatively quickly. Normally you can take your time, but because we're doing it in a shortened demo, so it'll be nice not to make your partner wait too long. Yeah, you can continue. Apologies, some of you on Android devices. Android just rolled out a new update recently. It's causing some video upload issues. So you can just continue on your browser if you have a computer. And we'll roll out an update. I think Android just updated, put an update, so it's causing issues with video upload. I can show you the link to access it on the computer. You can just go to play.gamoteca.com. And you can continue from where you are. Okay, so hopefully most of you have been able to progress through. Again, apologies for those of you on Android who couldn't progress very far. So maybe just to take some questions as well and discussion, but before we take some questions, we also wanted to get some ideas from you for where do you see the role of human-connected game-based learning in your own organization. So it's the same Mentimeter from earlier. Sorry, I need to also change the Menti slide. 1 second. Yeah. So you can just open the same Mentimeter that you had earlier. And then we can just open it up for some discussion, yeah. While you're adding some of your ideas, I can show you some of the fantastic creations maybe which have come through through the room. So we've seen some of the learners who are creating their ideas here. As I said, you did agree to share your permission of your content here. But yeah, so this is the dashboard for the trainer where they can see in real time how the learners are progressing, what content they're creating, and yeah, how far they've gotten as well. So some of you are adding comments about a fun way to evaluate real-life practices. Does anyone want to comment or ask a question? So either if you've added a comment about onboarding role plays for students, or does anyone want to share? Sofia, do we have the mic around as well? We can. Oh, it's here. Sorry. If there's any questions or comments? Yeah? Yeah, sorry.
Hi, how's it going? So I have a question about moderation. So it sounds like this has been implemented at like a business level, but the platform that we run, the company I work for, is designed for students, Erasmus Plus students, in 29 different languages from all over Europe. What's stopping somebody from linking up with somebody on here randomly and throwing slurs at that person, or being a little too forward in their video introductions? I mean, in a workplace setting, that's fine and easy. You can control who's on the platform and say like, this person's been a little too, forward. But how do you do that with students who, tens of thousands of students who have access to a platform?
Sure. So the way we've been rolling out, as you said, has been more in enterprise settings, so within organizational context. So there is a more scalable version as well, where we do have I shared with UNICEF, it's like 100,000 learners. It is still within generally a trusted organization setting. They still do it with their own account. We are sort of going to implement as well content moderation, like flagging inappropriate content, etc. Because you're right, that sort of stuff can happen. But mostly it is being done within organizational context, so it is within a trusted context. But the way you are joining now, it's a demo mode. We turn it off normally, but it's normally you join an organization. So today you joined Gamoteca. So normally you join an organization and then you agree to whatever content terms that organization proposes, and then you're playing within that context. So it's a good point in terms of it has been used in like up to 100,000 learners, but yes, you can then run to those issues, and there we are looking at moderation around when you're looking at such large numbers. But what I would really encourage is, I think where we've seen also the human-to-human learning really working well is where you have, there are really big groups where people can be learning, but where you see these groups of 50, 100, 200 learners, where there's some level of, they know that there is a human at least sort of like moderating or monitoring or managing, you'll see much higher completion and engagement rates as well. So there is a mode where you can just go join, like what you did today, and just randomly join or invite your own partner. But I think the mode also where you are being thoughtfully paired. So one of the things Sofia and I were debating, we were not sure how big the room would have been today, and actually it's good we didn't go with that option, was where we just give a code, and then we connect you we think about who you would be best paired with as well. And so when you think of an Erasmus program as well as an exchange program, you want to also connect to students. So there is a little bit of effort which goes into that as well, but the engagement and learning outcomes are so much better as well. So both options are there. There's one more scalable but a bit more risks. The other one a little less scalable but much higher engagement rates as well. Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. Just a quick question: when you want to pair different participants, let's say like you have two groups. One group of experimented learners and another group of beginners. Could you narrow the choice of partners so you could pair an experienced learner with a beginner?
Correct. So everything is done at a role level. So the way you design this experience then would be a mentor, an expert, and a non-mentor. So in the KCLM game that you didn't see, but she was demoing earlier, they had like a mission commander who was a manager, and the newbie was called
mission specialist.
Mission specialists. And so they were basically paired into, they were grouped into managers and new joiners essentially. So it's done by role. And so in the experience you were doing today, there were 2 roles, but they had pretty much the same task. But what you can do in this scenario is you can actually then storyboard around the 2 different roles. So it's quite role-based, and they will have very different outcomes. So in the designer, to show you maybe as well, so the one you saw today is like they are 2 different names, but essentially it's the same storyboard that's going through for both of them. But you could have, let's say, an onboarding experience between a staff member and a manager where they have different flows. So you can see there's a general welcome screen, but then the manager starts by sharing the vision, which then the new joiner receives. So you could have very role-based, and there it'll be dependent on, you then open it up for the managers and the staff members differently, yeah.
And, if I just may add to that, in our case, we were, of course, there was the level where we were pairing different levels of knowledge or experience or what have you. Then, of course, there was a certain point in the first iteration that we did where we were going like super big and we're like, okay, now we're going to design like a huge game. And at that point, we wanted to provide options to people to really be able to express themselves. So you will see at some point in the game, you're going through some questions that are kind of like multiple choice, but you want to provide people with quotes that resonate with them. And maybe let's say that the game, the interaction between the 2 people is not going very well. So there's kind of like a negative vibe in the game. Then we will branch it out to a facilitator to jump in. So while you have like the different roles or like even the same roles, you can have also the branching opportunity to have like a 3rd person jump in if it is needed. Or at a certain point in our game, we had a place where both of our actually participants, they needed feedback on something on the process of the game, and that was branched out to go to the facilitator, which we thought was quite nice because then I could jump in and make the change the progress so that everybody can jump into the game again. We should have done it for the people that were not able to upload their videos, for example, today because of like the technical glitch. We would have branched that out to a facilitator role, which we would be seeing from here, and yeah, that would have saved the day, let's say. Yeah.
Just bringing up here if there's any more comments. But yeah, so I think just sharing some of the ideas from the group. So including real-life practices into learning, creating connections between learners based in different organizations that we're starting to see even across the UN. As more UN organizations are using Gamoteca, there is like now learning happening between organizations as well. Onboarding, training, team building activities, soft skills. So yeah, so we have, if you go on the featured games, you'll find stuff on public speaking, on interviewing skills. So the interviewing skills is a really interesting one, where you learn the soft skills of being an interviewer and an interviewee, and you role swap halfway through. So you essentially practice asking questions and responding to questions. So you become also a good interviewer as a manager, but also as an interviewee. And then you rate each other, but you don't see each other's ratings. It's kind of blind rated, and then you swap, and only at the end, then you're like, okay, this is, and you self-rate as well, and you're like, this is how I rated myself, and this is how the other person rated me. So I think absolutely for soft skills, public speaking, coaching and mentoring, design thinking, there's a lot of applications for this. I saw a lot of comments also on assessment. So it's essentially building the level, thinking about Kirkpatrick levels, is building in level 2 and to some extent level 3 as well, because in level 3 you are demonstrating your skills as well. So you're building that straight into the course itself. Great. I think that's any final comments, questions?
Reflections, how was the experience with the game as far as you managed to go? We'd love to hear from you, of course.
Great. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
One more question.
Sorry, one more
yes.
question. There.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to say that it's a very interesting tool that you have here, because I think there's a lot of tendencies to boil down interactivity on Moodle or generally in any learning platform to analytics. Whereas in this, I think you're using technology to create more ephemeral experiences that even if they are not tracked in its entirety, they can offer some emergent, opportunities for learning that are not generally possible in this very detailed and mechanic design. So I really enjoyed it, and for sure we'll reach out after this is done.
Great.
Do you
Thank
want to mention that the authoring tool is for free? Everybody can
Yeah.
create their
Yes, sorry, I should have mentioned this as well. So the platform, the business model as well, it's a freemium model. So you can also go in, not just as learners, but as creators for free as well and try it out. It's only at the pro and enterprise levels where there's a licensing fee associated with it. And the integration Moodle comes at the pro level, but you can try creating already some games. I think, for you were piloting for quite a while before you became a customer. So you can also just try creating. We have also put a number of templates, so you could also just build off these existing templates and adapt them to your own needs as well. But that's absolutely right. I think for us, it's like really important to see, quite often when we think of learning, we think of it from the perspective of us as trainers, creators, but not enough do we take the human-centered approach to look at what is it the learners actually want. And I think it's looking at both perspectives here in a sense, but also it's very important to understand what do learners actually want beyond sort of being tracking and these kind of course completion. So that's kind of what drove the funding as well. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And again, apologies for the Android users. We will solve it. And if you drop me an email, I'll make sure that issue is resolved in the video upload. But thank you so much for attending. And yeah, do reach out. We'd love to hear from you as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. All right. Feel free to finish the game.